Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. This is John with Tommy's Top Picks here to bring you your weekly flesh and blood market update. Before we get started, if you like this content, hit the subscribe button, like, comment, all those things. I appreciate it. It's great to interact with you, so I really do appreciate the comments. Even if it's not much to say, just saying hi or speculating on something that you're looking at in the prices. Right? I love it. So let's jump in. This is a pretty quiet week. It was actually way more dramatic before I I went and looked at TCG Player a little bit closer. Unfortunately, what we see in Pokemon and other places is now translating over into Flesh and Blood, and my guess is it's because certain products are not moving. People are down marking the prices to make them look really cheap, but then increasing the shipping. So the way I capture the data, it doesn't really get that to work correctly. So it's a bit of a problem as far as just capturing the data. So I have to go back and check whenever there's something that looks like a dramatic shift down and see if it's actually just a difference in shipping that they've now added to the situation, which is what it was for a lot of it. So essentially, market really quiet this week. So let's jump into what has actually changed. Tales of Aria deserves an unlimited, that is, boxes, deserves an honorable mention at 4.92%, almost enough for the heat map, $58 a box. Interestingly about this product, the hood, the Lexi hood, well, I guess it's not really Lexi's hood, but the Ranger hood, is selling out. I'll walk through that in a second, but they're practically gone. I think the rainbow foils are going for 210 now. Just a couple days ago, they were going for, I think, 120, like 6 days ago, something like that. They were going for 120, so they've jumped up a lot. There's really only been 12 sales in the last week or so, which is, and that's rainbow foil and cold foil, but the reality is that rainbow foils are practically gone. There's like 3 listings. Cold foils, there's a few more. There's just not that many on there. If you know why, is Lexi hot? Is there some super tech in Lexi? I would have thought with the bans and restrictions or suspensions that people would be a little bit more hesitant with Lexi, but it does not seem to be the case. So anyways, dirt cheap for these unlimited boxes. It would definitely be a gamble to buy one, hoping for one of those hoods because it's a legendary. But hey, if you get it, that's a win, right? I mean, $58 for the box and then $200. Now, granted, none of them sold at $200 yet. We'll take a look at it in a second, but they're selling high, so it would be a huge win. Anyways, moving on, unlimited cases, Crew Unlimited, 5.68% down to $299. Has cooled off quite a bit, and from 317, not like a huge swing, but it's cooled off. I think the market has kind of generally chilled out on these older unlimited products, which is probably good because we were getting heated there for a minute. One thing of note that didn't come down is ARC unlimited boxes. Obviously, that's very expensive still. I really think that's steady state. I don't know that we'll come back down from those, maybe a little bit, or if there's some big market shake and it shakes everything, it would shake that too. But all else being equal, I think that's going to stay about where it is. So $299 for a Crew case of unlimited. That seems like a good deal if you want those boxes. But I'm not sure if they are the hottest boxes and the cards in them are particularly useful for any particular class at this point, because I feel like every one of these sets, we've talked about this before, have gotten more powerful, and so the oldest one is the least powerful of the every classes covered situation. Additionally, it doesn't have the newer classes like Assassin, Illusionist, etc. So it's missing some classes. So I think its value overall compared to the market kind of decreases a little bit from the playability standpoint, but from collectability standpoint, it is probably the next due to go up. I know WTR is kind of moving up a little bit, and it did even this week. You'll notice it's up 3.5%. So it's just ticking up slowly over time, coming back here, right? And so the next one to follow is Crew. That said, Crew was elevated above WTR for quite some time. So this may be some level setting in the market as these products kind of move through distribution and slowly vanish because it's getting to that time. First edition boxes, WTR 36% up. This is $6,799, which is quite a jump, $1,800 up from the previous price. We talked about this before. This was the steal of a lifetime situation with WTR. Clearly, it is getting corrected. Basically, we're getting to the point where these are hard to come by, especially in good quality condition. It's going to be yeah, it's going to be hard to find these soon, and they'll just vanish. There won't be that many out there. It'll be like the ancient Pokemon boxes or whatever. You'll have one or two, and it'll cost enormous amounts of money. So, anyways, that's where that is, and we saw it coming, and it will continue to happen. We may cool off once again. I mean, this is 3 weeks in a row of jumping up in significant price. This is the largest jump in a while. We have seen listings come down, so I'll look at that in a second, show you what I mean. But we have seen that both here and in the case format, and so it's important to note that this is taking the listing price of TCG Player, not necessarily the last sold. So it can move around a lot even outside of what reality is and what has actually closed a deal, which is more accurate reflection of a market price. But it does give you an idea of what the market's thinking when you see these pressures up, pressures down, etc. Anyways, ARC up 14.21 or 22%. To 1462. This is another one we talked about way back at 1,000. I was feeling a little sad at 1,000 because I think I bought mine around 1,200 somewhere, probably back here, and it hit, and it shrunk down. I was like, oh, that's sad. That's a good deal, but I just bought mine, so I'm not buying another one. But then I came back up, and now it's surpassed it. 14%. That's good. It's nothing crazy. Again, I think these boxes will go up. And considering that this unlimited is at 100, these probably should be higher because there's far less of the first edition boxes. Plus, they have cold foils in them, etc., etc., etc. You guys all know the reasons. Moving on to the cases, first edition WTR is up $17,820. All right, so I dug into this one a little bit. This is 185% increase. I think this is probably the highest percent increase we've ever had on this since I've been tracking it for like over a year now, I think. Almost, yeah, 22. And next week I think it'll be a year, something like that. Anyways, that's crazy. It's been a year. So largest increase we've ever seen. Now, like I said, I dug into it, especially since I saw the little weirdness in the markets with the shipping costs, etc. It didn't really jump. This one just got pulled down. So this was artificial. We speculated on this, like, would you even get it? Is it good to buy something at such a discount on TCG Player? Now, what I will say, and thank you to the commenter from last week, they saw boxes selling for under 3K or around 3K on Facebook, eBay, etc. I went and looked. There was an eBay listing that was around 3K. I think it was maybe even a little under with one of the plexi cases, so it was like a sturdy like shelf box. It was nice for under 3K on eBay. So TCG Player prices are elevated, but I think people kind of know that, right? That's and I've always advised, like, for these bigger products, why would you buy it on TCG Player? I've said that a million times. The other point is, like, this may have been a false listing. They put it there and never intended to close the deal. Maybe the guy caught out and TCG Player kicked them. Who knows the exact story? Maybe they just pulled it down. They're like, oh, this is way too low. But this particular one has been listed for a long time at this price. And you'll look and see it back here. So what happened was this guy was the highest price for a long time. Then people came in underneath of it. I do believe a box sold somewhere in these ranges. I don't remember where. I think it was higher than 11, but it was lower than this 27. And then this lower price got listed. I think at one point someone said, because I was like, that's crazy low. Someone said they're not really selling it. They're trying to sync the market numbers so that it makes it look lower, which may be the case. I'm not going to speculate on that. I have no idea. I guess you could use TCG Play listed price as a means to buy or sell off of other people. I don't know. It seems complex, and like most people aren't going to trust you with that nonsense. They're going to look at last sold on eBay. It's much easier to determine for something like this. I just don't know who gets duped by that, but maybe they do. Anyway, so point being that this was probably a fake listing, or rather it's a listing that never confirmed. It never consummated. No one ever bought it at this price on TCG Player. Our last actual sale was somewhere around this price, and that went a long time ago. I think it was probably, I'm not sure if it was this box, because this box may have shifted up here and then got sold, something like that. But point being is that this market moved a lot, and it didn't really do anything in that movement, right? So 185% up from a non-sale price that didn't really move. So keep it in context, keep it in mind. That said, I imagine this is probably closer to the real price. I don't know if you know of a listing on eBay. I haven't seen one in a long time. I did see one, oh God, it must have been 6 months plus ago. I saw one go, shoot, I mentioned it in the channel at the time. I don't recall what it was, maybe 15 15,000, something like that, through Facebook. And it was interesting to see that sold at that price. And it was at a time when things were cooling off. So it was like, that hurts, right? But clearly a higher price than what we ended up seeing these sell for. So anyways, keep it in mind, keep it in context. First edition is not exactly the best thing to rely on. I did want to give a little bit of a market update because some things are happening. Not much. The reason I haven't talked about the Fed and all the rest because nothing's really happened, honestly. We're in the same steady state we were probably 3 months ago. Inflation is a little bit lower than it was then, but not much lower. It's expected to maintain, give or take a little bit. The interest rates are cooling off a little bit. I think it's half a basis point. So nothing, or 50 basis points, I mean. It's nothing much to talk about, right? It's the same thing. Unemployment's low still in the last report, which I think came out last week. So everything's basically exactly the same. Interest rates are ticking up to try to cool it off. I think we talked about, or I speculated that the Fed was trying to quick crash the economy. I think they failed. I think they're okay with that because they reduced the amount of interest rate that they're putting in it. I don't know if they got pressure from markets or what, but you don't drop it down unless you feel like you're achieving it. And I know inflation did come down a little bit, so maybe they felt like they were achieving it. If they do it this way correctly, we will not see large amounts of unemployment, which would be a success. I just worry that they fall into stagflation, which is kind of where we are right now. We'll see how long it lasts and if we can cruise into a soft landing or kick things off again. There's a couple things that could trigger it. If the Ukraine war ends suddenly, I believe that would kick off a run. When China opens up, I believe that will kick off a run. Now, I don't know how much that will affect things like fuel prices, which then lead as inputs into inflation again. Right now, oil's low again, so it came back down after all the other stuff. Overall, I mean, there's green shoots, but I believe I said that almost a year ago today. Where basically it looked like things were kind of picking up and you'd hear that soon, and then it didn't because things went the other way. I was wrong, obviously, and I may be wrong again. We'll see. In my investing side of life that I do for a living, we are seeing a massive amount of deals, but that usually happens in a down economy, and lots of good opportunities. There's strong deals, i.e. there's a lot of opportunity and we can basically pick and choose the best. It's great for the job. It does show that there's some weakness in the economy and there's a flight to quality on these deals. So a lot of money piles into the best looking ones. That's startup world though. It's very different than things like macro markets, equities, and finance. Right? They all operate slightly differently. So you got to take it with a grain of salt. All this stuff is to say that the economy's still chugging along. Not exploding. Not great. But not terrible either. It's kind of in the middle. That's why I worry about stagflation, because that is the most damaging for everyone. So if we end up stuck in that, then it could be a problem. And last time it happened, it lasted like a decade. So imagine 10 years of like inflationary pressures hitting your gas pump, hitting your food prices, but also, this kind of lack of increases in wages and things like that. It's an ugly situation. Anyways, let's go ahead and look at the charts. No, I lied. Let's look at the TCG player. So a couple things to point out. The hood, 210, 9 listings. But just to be fair, last sold 185. That was today. Before that, a couple days ago, 143. So still up from a week ago. The 18th, I believe. That's the cold foil. So 121. So about a week ago is 121. It has jumped 140, and then the last one is about 50% up to 185. So even if you count the last sold, it's up quite a bit. Why? Why is Lexi so cool right now? I don't know if that's what it is, but I suspect it is. Yeah. It's crazy. But if you have one to spare and you want to get rid of it, now might be a good time. Not financial advice, but selling into the hype is always a good deal. Been doing quite a bit of that across a couple different markets, so been having fun with that. There's one other thing I wanted to point out, and I'm not seeing it here because it was probably in Dynasty. Oh yeah, of course, your surgical extraction, it did pop up, but only a little bit. It's cooled off since then. And then the crown, man, this thing just keeps going. I've been watching this and it just keeps going because I don't have one and I want it to come back down, but I'm not sure it will. Generic headgear, this would be set 2 in a row where I've watched the generic headgear just kind of get stronger and stronger and stronger. So I may pull the trigger at some point. I did wait a while on Crown of Providence. I feel like I got a decent buy in. It wasn't the best, but it wasn't terrible either. So I might just wait. And again, I think what ended up happening last time is the difference I paid for this was more than made up for by the savings on the other stuff. CNC, it's dropping 400. I imagine it will continue to drop. I see no reason not to based on the current patterns. Same with the Angel. It's dropped again. It was up. Remember, it had gone back up. Oh, wait, let's check. Is this $50 shipping? No, it's only 99 cents. Yeah, it has dropped then. I'm going to wait on these. I think they will eventually come down at the least hype point of this market, and that will be the ideal time to buy those, which will probably make up the difference in what I pay for that by being late to the party on that one. The Marvels I really like, but I think they will cool off once things move on to the next set, and we're all hyped about Outsiders and what's happening there. Anyways, now to the charts. Okay, WTR Unlimited Edition up and to the right. Isn't that the pattern we like to see? Yes, it is. A little premium here. I mean, sorry, not a little premium. A little arbitrage opportunity. Nothing to pay attention to. Really not that important. Like I said, markets were generally quiet. ARC. At parity again, nothing exciting there. That's fine. Unlimited will continue to be great in ARC for a while, I believe. We may get a little cooling, and personally, I'm going to take advantage. Any cooling or dips we get, I'm going to probably jump on that and buy more ARC because I don't think there's much left, and I don't think there'll be any sort of reprint of it. Moving on to Crew, we did get a little bit of an ARB opportunity here. 74 versus 78, so, 325, not a big deal. Yeah. I don't understand why this is so cheap considering, but if you look at the general pattern, it was cheaper for a long time. It popped up and then it's cooling off a little bit. If we get this, actually where it is kind of a good steal from this chart. But if it gets lower, then that's really probably a good situation considering we're going to see an upward rise of this before too long. And I think we're seeing that reflected in the boxes. We'll see. I don't know that it's the most popular set. I know a lot of people like Crew for the art and the nostalgia, but from a playability, usability standpoint, you can't crack it in draft. So it has a little bit limited long-term value. Still, it is one of the first 3. There's nothing wrong with that. Mon, steady as she goes, which is crazy for Mon. Same on the case divided by 4 side. They are in parity at a very affordable price. Yeah. Moving on. Tales of Aria. This is the one with the $200 hood, Ranger hood. Yeah, it's dirt cheap, and it's coming down again, so we might be hitting a new phase of volatility. We're definitely not running out of supply, so I wouldn't worry about that. Just look for good discounts if you're going to try to get it. And again with EVR, am I ever going to remember that again? I did it a couple times and then just lost it. All right, WTR first edition. This was the arbitrage opportunity of a lifetime that turned out to be wrong because they were for sale on eBay for cheaper. Appreciate that comment and feedback. Like I said, I always appreciate the feedback and comments from you guys, so please do leave a comment if there's something I get wrong or something interesting to look at or whatever. Always love it. So anyways, this is hit parity and is spiking up and to the right, which it probably should have done months ago, honestly, because this was slowly running out of stock for a while, and we said that this whole time. So now it's finally catching up. Let's see if it overshoots and comes back down. We could get a reversal to the mean. That would not be surprising because that is a very aggressive climb. ARC first edition, it climbed. I honestly don't think that this one will come back down. One, it's climbing slower in a step fashion, which we've talked about is kind of the pattern you expect. Although 2 weeks really isn't that long for any particular step. It's better than going straight up, right? And then 2, it is one of those sets that people love. It's not very draftable, but it doesn't seem to have as much of a rabid base for opening. For example, if you go on Fab Unsealed, Flukenbox, all those places, I would bet, and I could be wrong, if they have data they want to share with me, I'd love to see it. I would bet they've opened 3 to 4 times more WTR first edition than ARC. Just a bet from my experiences watching them and participating in some of those cracks. WTR is more popular for first edition cracks, for expensive cracks. It's always WTR over ARC. So I imagine there's less WTR, but I think there's a more steady state decline in ARC. So you see the spike in usage for WTR and a flat line for a long time. I think ARC's going to slow climb to the right. That's what I expect. I could be wrong. We'll see. Crew. Yeah, it's down and low. It's kind of chilling out, which is an interesting opportunity to purchase. These do have cold foil products in them, and these are fairly decent prices. Not as good as they were back here, but fairly decent prices. I love this pattern. Let's see if we get a drop off like we did here, down here, right? Because this pattern happened and then this pattern followed. So you can see it in the shadow here. So this drops. Will this drop off? That would be interesting. If it does, I'll probably purchase some. I'll be honest. Monarch, just sliding down, continuing to be hated. At parity, nothing special here. Yeah, they're cheap though. It's getting cheap and cheap and cheaper. Under $400 case. That's crazy. Tales of Aria. This is the one with the hood. The cold foil went for, I want to say it was like $240 or something like that. But there's quite a few listings compared to the rainbow foil. But we always talked about how Tales of Aria, no one really uses unlimited. That is so not true anymore. But the reality is that there was so much first edition that the cold foils and such were oftentimes more common than the rainbow foils because people just got the first edition. That will reverse eventually, so it might be worth holding on to your cards when that time comes. But it's going to be a long time. They overprinted the heck out of this set based on bad information on Mon. So this looks like somewhat of a discount to me. I'm going to hang. I got plenty of tails. I will hang back and pick up some more when it drops off a cliff or something dramatic happens. But even then, I probably won't because I still have some from when I bought my cases. And I'm sure a lot of you do too. That's just how it was. There's so much of it out there. Anyone remember, was it the TCG player promo kit? They had like 7 different promo kits, not just TCG player, but there was a bunch of promo kits for Tales of Aria. That was a wild time. Everyone's so exuberant. I was in Ireland. I bought that while I was on a ferry, and I was so excited. And then, yeah, I was so excited. Mistakes were made. It's okay. I still love the product. Still one of my favorite art sets. Anyways. Moving on to EVR, this is still in its kind of like post-release phase. Yes, it's dropped off a map. I believe this is a natural price at this point. I could be wrong on that. This was probably the drop-off of map, and this is the stabilization of it. I could be wrong on that, though. If I am wrong, please let me know in the comments. Point being that it's going to be low for a while because it has even further to go. And I believe they printed more of this than they did of Tails. We don't know that for sure, but that's everyone's guess. And if that's the case, it's going to take a long time. UPR, first of 2.0, nice and steady. Look at this. I mean, this is nice. This is what you want to see. That said, it's still probably in map tier 2, I believe. And we're seeing a premium come into play, but I want to see this evolve a bit more. I don't know if I trust this yet. It's early, 2.0 is unknown yet. Let's get the data. Let's follow the data and make smart decisions. Dynasty came down post-release, as you expect. That always happens. Trying to climb. I don't know if I trust that. This is that volatility post-release. Nothing special to look at here until we get to the point where all the maps come off and it kind of is free-floating in the market. So that's it for your market update. Let me know again in the comments if there's something else I could cover, something else interesting. Let me know if you want me to talk about some weird philosophical thing like I used to do. I know some of you love that stuff. I just kind of ran out of weird philosophical things to talk about. Next time, if you want, and you leave a comment and you're still listening, I have been playing with ChatGPT, and I can tell you some of the things I've done with it. It's an amazing tool and quite interesting. It has massive implications for the future of commerce, society, information, and all sorts of things. So if you like my weird philosophical rants, I can talk about ChatGPT next time because I'm sure I'll have lots to say by then. Anyways, I hope you're out there cracking packs, enjoying games, having a good time, and, enjoying this thing that we call fun, this hobby that we love and we're involved in, and you're watching this because you love it and you're involved in it. I mean, come on. If you're not having fun, what are you even doing with your life? Anyways, until next time, have a good one.